Welcome back to the LoCo Experience Podcast. I'm here today with Julian Faure,
Yes,
founder and owner of Momentum Counseling and Consulting. And please say it with like the proper French.
for
Faure.
yeah, close enough.
Well, welcome, Julian. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
So you are a member of one of our LoCo think tank Next Level chapters,
Yes,
and for 6 months or so.
yeah, I think October,
Ish?
November.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
maybe even
Yeah, a little longer than that
a
now.
little longer.
And in part because you were, when you found us, you had kind of a tiger by the tail. You'd already grown to like 70 employees in less than 3 years.
Yeah, yeah. I was right after the 3-year anniversary.
Mm. And what's your count now?
About 100.
Okay.
A little over
A
100.
little over 100.
Yeah.
How do you find enough people to keep growing at that pace? And how do you find enough customers to need all those people?
Um, I think it's nonstop. We're constantly hiring. I think that there's a shortage in mental health right now.
Mm.
Um, not enough therapists.
A lot of therapists have left the industry in Colorado for other pastures, like even being a coach instead, because there's a big regulatory oversight kind of challenge, is what I understand. Is that you find that true?
That part I don't know, but
Okay.
I know that there's a higher rate of burnout.
Mm,
I've read that somewhere.
sure, kind of like social workers or something. They take on the problems of the world, and then they're only in the field for 5 or 7 years, and so you're constantly having to train new people.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly what the average length of time that someone stayed in a counselor role, but I thought it was surprisingly low.
Yeah, interesting. Um, so you're always hiring,
Yeah,
always training.
yeah.
And I remember that your model is in part kind of a supervisory kind of internship
Oh, 100%.
focus.
Yeah.
Want to talk to me about that? Did you start there, or was that like how you've been able to keep growing?
I did not start there, but I started bringing on interns very quickly. Some interns reached out to me, and I didn't know that um, interns could work in private practices.
Mm.
But yeah, after learning a little bit more about it, um, I decided that Momentum was going to become a training institute, training center.
Okay.
It feels good to train the new generation, and interns really do as good of a job as more seasoned therapists
Is that
because
right?
yeah,
Because they're not all burnt out and stuff.
I don't know about that, but because they receive a lot of supervision coming from their school, a lot coming from us, we really or dedicate. One of our big values is that continuing education for all of our therapists.
Not just the interns' education, but
Yeah,
everybody keeps
yeah.
getting smarter all the time.
Exactly. Well, we provide certifications. Our supervisors are very dedicated to the growth of their supervisees. They are supervisors only. So that's
Oh, so they don't see clients at all? Oh, I
no,
see.
not anymore. So we've switched completely the way we approach the supervision of our newer therapists. Yeah, and that became one of my values early on. That's how I'm modified, or that's the path I went down
Yeah.
as as I was building momentum.
Yeah.
It came
Both
to
building momentum and building momentum.
exactly.
What has all this growth been organic? Like you
Yes.
leased an office and hired some people, and leased another office and hired some people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I started by myself.
Okay.
No intention to go out or to create a private practice.
Okay.
That was in September 2021,
Okay.
and yeah, I left my W-2 job went out on my own. It was very
And like rented an office about this size or something like that.
exactly, yeah,
Okay.
down the street at the Drake Office Park. It was actually a two office suite
Okay.
with one of my friends, and really I was just petrified about not having enough clients to pay the rent.
Was your friend also a counselor?
Yes.
So you were both in
Yes.
the same industry, but not partnered together
No.
or anything. Just
No.
share the space.
Yeah, share the cost.
Right,
Share
right.
the cost.
And how much was the rent?
I think it might have been $1,300.
Okay.
$1,400, and we were splitting it.
Yeah. And how much did you charge for a session in the beginning?
I always took insurance.
Oh, okay. So whatever the insurance pays, kind of.
Exactly.
Okay, I gotcha.
Exactly.
Which
So
is about how much? 100-ish on average or something?
yeah,
More? 150?
it depends on plans.
Sure. I'm just thinking, how many clients do you have to see in a month to pay the rent? Like maybe 20 or something ish.
Oh, well,
I mean, Julian doesn't get paid still, but the rent
yeah.
gets paid.
Well, I hired my first employee within the first month.
Oh.
So even within the first month of rent, I already had someone that was also generating
Oh wow.
income.
And was that just because you saw your schedule like completely booked up? Mm-hmm. And how did those clients find you?
Some of my clients were long-time clients.
Followed you from your
followed
previous
me,
practice. Or
and then others just found me, and yeah, I got very, very full, very, very quickly.
yeah.
And so, actually, momentum did not exist when I
You were
went
just
out on my own.
Julian Faure.
It was counseling, exactly. That was it. That was exactly it. I had to find the name of momentum within 5 days in between the time I hired someone
Oh, right.
and the time when I had to create
Interesting.
a real company. So I like the name.
Yeah.
I thought in a short amount of time, I think I did a fine job.
Well, it's long. I mean, that's what my big criticism: momentum counseling and consulting. It doesn't. Is your email is it Julian at Momentum Counseling and Consulting?
Momentum CAC.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we abbreviated. Well, hey, I was not the first one to come up with momentum counseling. Let's just say that.
Yes.
So I did the best I could with
Hey.
with the amount of time that I had.
Well, and it's proven to be a great name for
Yeah.
you based on that growth. Well, and so that name Momentum, though it was there only early on just for purpose of hiring that first employee, you've basically what 4-ish years, 100-ish employees, so 25 people a year. That's 2 people a month.
Oh yeah, I
on
didn't
the
think about it
average,
this way.
right?
Yeah.
Well, it's 48 months. Oh, sorry. Yeah, so that's 48 total months ish. So you've been hiring 2 people a month, virtually every month since
That's
you started
true.
business.
Yeah. Oh wow, I didn't see it this way.
See, that's why you need to work in your figure out who else is going to start hiring people, especially if
Oh,
you keep
yes.
growing this fast.
Yeah, that was one of our conversation this morning in our next level meeting about making hiring more efficient and
yeah.
passing the torch to my upper management.
I mean, I just hired Ben here at LoCo, who you met this morning, but I mean, I had 15 first interviews and
Oh, yeah.
4 or 5 second interviews along that path, and a whole bunch of discovery, checking recommendation. Like, it's a push. Like, it sucks.
That can
And that's,
get
I do it once every few years. I hire 1 or 2 people, So it's just training me just thinking about it.
that can get very, very time consuming. So now it's more an office effort in between screenings.
You're kind of the final decider, but you still meet them all ultimately before you put them on the team.
I mean, until
Until
you and Pete told me
you
that
get that transition.
eventually
Eventually.
I need to do otherwise. Yeah, but it's just a very quick final meeting.
Impressive.
The team does the heavy lifting.
You might decide to keep that, honestly, because when you got somebody on your payroll, and you're relying upon them to create a good impression for your clients and stuff.
Yeah.
It's probably worth your 15 minutes. So I didn't push back too hard on Pete in that conversation. But I was
Okay.
like, I don't know. I think if he's down to a 15-minute
Yeah.
smell test, I think that might be okay.
All right, Pete, you listen to that. I think we're gonna be having a fight over who is doing the final
Now,
interview.
if you're hiring for, I don't know if you got an office in Colorado Springs or
Yeah.
Pueblo or something, but if you're hiring down there, you're not meeting these people in person. It's all Zoom.
All Zoom, yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Even locally, more Zoom than not, probably.
Oh yeah, only Zoom.
And then how about your staff? Are they meeting clients mostly? Not too much Zoom, some Zoom, in person at the offices? What's the mix of how you deliver the goods in that
Yeah.
therapist space?
So first, doing therapy online before COVID was not taboo, but very fringe.
Right.
Very, very rarely
Yeah.
therapists were providing therapy over teleconference, telehealth, and now it has done 100% shift. It's completely part of
It's
the expectations
just as
of
valid
clients.
as in person
Oh yeah,
from an industry's perspective.
I think for efficacy, yes, it's
Yeah.
just as effective, and it became completely normal for clients.
Right.
We have clients that just want to do telehealth. They have children, or their schedule
Right.
is weird. So that's first thing, which I was surprised
Yeah.
and by that. And then second, yeah, we have therapists who only do telehealth. Nothing else. We have people out of state.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I really doubt any of my therapists have an only in-person caseload.
Oh, okay.
So maybe 50-50, a little over.
That's the overall
Half.
mix kind of thing.
Yeah.
And do some patients like come in person some and then, hey, next month I'm going to be doing this. I want to do a Zoom instead.
yeah.
And when you say
Yeah.
telehealth, is it a Zoom type thing?
Yeah.
It's not just a phone call, right?
No.
It feels
no.
important to like look into
Oh.
my eyes at least and stuff if you're going to lie to me or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. So we're very flexible. If I don't know, someone comes always in person, but they're sick, but
Right, but they want to
but
keep
they
their
still
appointment
want to
anyway.
keep their appointment. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not an
And how do
issue.
those comms happen? Like, is that I guess an administrative function or kind of a customer service function? They'll just call like a front desky person that doesn't actually manage clients, and
Yeah, we
or
have
a lot of it's online kind of scheduling stuff. Or
no. They contact our schedulers,
I see.
and they take
Okay.
care of everything up to the moment when
Yeah.
they're
a
meet
lot
their
like
therapist.
if you're going to go and see the dentist or something, there's a person who's just kind of in charge of
Exactly.
and in a month from now we're going to come back
Yeah.
and whatever kind of thing.
And 4 years ago,
And
that
no
was
toothbrush, no toothpaste or nothing like that. Do you get any? Do you guys have like swaggy prizes like candy so your teeth rot faster or anything?
no,
Maybe
which is a good idea.
you could give away cell phones or something so everybody's already got one of those.
Yeah,
What-
and
Go ahead.
4 years ago, that was me doing everything,
Right.
picking up the phone, and getting people set up. So looking back, we're a long way from where we
Right.
started.
I can't believe you took insurance right from the start as a one-man band. That seems like, well, because even now, right? Don't you get paid like 60 days after you see somebody or something a lot of times?
If I do,
Right.
I mean, nothing against insurance, right?
Well, it's your bread and butter.
Don't dig me for what I'm gonna say, but sometimes if they deny claims for some administrative missing a comma or something like that,
Okay.
then we're talking about 6 months. We
Got to resubmit this or that kind of thing.
yeah. So the delay, we got to be really solid on
Right.
cash flow.
Well, that's crazy. You had to have some savings in the bank when you start because you're not going to get your first paycheck from that first client
Yeah.
until 2 months after you see them.
Yeah, sometimes a little faster, and then sometimes
Interesting.
I don't know. I remember, mid 2024, late 2024, I could see I still had claims from 2023.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
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 Interesting.
So that's that's what can get really dicey when taking insurances,
Right,
because
right,
there can be a really long time in between the time when you provide services
right.
and then therefore pay your
Well, and you're
therapist.
out there leasing new offices, putting
Yeah.
deposits down on new offices, hiring therapists to staff them before you really
Yeah.
have customers in that region yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting. Yeah, it's definitely an interesting cash flow management type of
Hmm.
business. Um, what what got you into counseling?
What
What
got me into
and when did you start?
Yeah, so I started back in 2009. So what got me into counseling? I was an attorney
Okay,
back in Miami. And yeah,
going
it was
to Miami. Did you like Miami?
it was too big for me.
Yeah,
I'm a smaller town kind of
fair.
guy. And so I mean, as you can imagine, working as attorney is requires certain kind of personality, which I think was not matching my personality.
Okay,
And yeah, the kind of law that I was doing was
so you were failing as an attorney. Is that what you're saying? Kind of
yeah,
a
yeah,
little bit.
yeah.
Sorry, that's rude.
I wasn't as successful as I got later. But then 2008 happened, and you know what?
Sure.
You went through
The banking crisis.
the banking
Yeah, yeah.
crisis.
Our bank
So,
went from a staff of 12 to a staff of 6.
oh really?
Yeah, yeah. The bank I worked at.
Wow.
I was
Well,
one of the survivors, but not everybody was so lucky.
so imagine the same thing in most law firms,
Is that
in a
right?
lot of law firms.
Mm.
Yeah, in um, especially I
Oh, so
would
you
say
didn't really
Miami.
choose counseling. Law unchose you, and you were
Yeah,
like,
kind of.
"What should I do now?"
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I could have. I think I wasn't that bad.
I'm
I
sure
think I
you-
could have come back.
I'm sure. But you were kind of over it anyway.
I wasn't the best, but
I'm just teasing.
I don't think people were chasing me out of Miami.
Right. Okay. Fair.
Um,
But you were like, "Let's flip a new page."
so it was really at that point where I was coming at a fork in the road of, do I try something that I think I would be good at, or do I keep looking for a job for a long time and that I probably wouldn't like? So I just tried it out. Well,
Well, don't you have to like get a degree or something first,
Yeah.
though, right?
Yeah,
Because you
so-
can't just try it out. You put
No.
up your psychiatry 5 cents flag.
I tried out the school. I tried
Oh,
out the
okay.
master's degree.
Gotcha.
I made sure to check the refund on the refund policy and had one free week basically.
Okay.
And I knew within the first day I was 80% sure this is what I want to do. By the end of the week, I knew that was
How cool.
that was it. So started in 2009. So my first clients in 2010 at the school. So I was an intern back then
Okay.
and became
Did you have good supervision?
excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Our teachers were really great. That was a very, very, very good experience. And went full time 2011, and I practiced full time until 2021. Yeah.
In Florida, some of that time, or did you move here, or what was your circumstance getting to Colorado?
I came to Colorado in 2016,
Okay.
late 2016.
All
yeah,
right.
early 2017.
And how did that come to pass? Like,
I came here for a job.
oh, okay. Do companies recruit for a long ways to get therapist jobs, or were you looking for
I
to
was-
get to the mountains or
Yeah.
get out of Florida or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, like I came just like probably for the same reason that most people come to Colorado.
Well, I was curious how how it all worked out. But you got a job first. That got,
Yeah.
You didn't
Exactly.
have to come here and look for a job. You
Yeah.
kind of did it smart this time.
No, not that risk. Not that much of a risk taker.
Yeah. So then you were just kind of working in the industry, doing your thing, working
Yep.
for different multiple companies, and then like, why did you go off on your own?
It felt like it was a natural progression at
Okay.
this point. I had a lot of friends that had gone on their own, so it felt like, yeah,
Why not?
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
It's kind of like in a way, it's like the financial services industry. Like to get your start, you have to work for Edward Jones or
Oh yeah.
something like that, and they'll train you up and they'll pay you a little salary to try to get you in, but they'll also take a big chunk of your commissions
Yeah.
on all your clients for a long time and forever. And so if you get good enough at it, you should just go independent
Yeah.
because you get to keep so much of a larger share of the pie.
Sure.
Same
Well,
thing with this, I imagine, like at least at first when you don't have overhead and employees and stuff.
yeah, I mean it's we take a share, but we also take a lot of risks.
For sure. And you do a bunch of stuff, like all the payroll, all the mechanics, all the insurance billing, all
Insurance
the...
billing, yeah.
Yeah. Well, for most normal people, like I might be a really good therapist if I got some education and training, but I would tap out when it came to the insurance billing stuff. I'd be like, I don't play. Like I
Yeah.
can't. I just can't even deal with this level of bureaucracy stuff. But your law training helped you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm also finding a very good biller, a very trustworthy biller, very dedicated. Really played a big role
Okay.
in kickstarting momentum because I remember calling Medicaid,
Yeah.
asking about a question, talk to three people, three different answers.
Yeah.
I need to.
Spend an hour on the
Yeah.
phone and get nowhere.
Yeah, I told myself I need to find someone.
Yeah.
I can't keep doing that.
That seems to be like you've done almost everything in your firm, but you willingly delegate when you find out that it would be better if somebody else did that thing. Yeah, even
Yeah.
just in the 9 months we've known each other, you're kind of adding this, and then, well, like the other day when I asked, have you considered like if you should have like a compliance officer or something,
yes.
and you were like, yep, we just talked about that about a week ago,
Exactly.
and so you're always kind of seeing those gaps in what your skill set can cover effectively, and then hiring for it or outsourcing for it.
Yeah. Yeah, trying to. Again, no formal background in running a business, so rolling with the punches, huh?
Yeah. Does law provide some training in business as part of it? Like, is there financial analysis or accounting classes required or things like that, or not even really?
Not even really.
Huh, interesting.
Yeah. A very minimal amount of financial knowledge.
So you're learning as you go about
Yeah.
balance sheet management, cash flow management,
Yeah, exactly.
human resources, hiring. How many people had you managed people before
No.
starting Momentum? Never.
Never.
Never, ever.
Never ever.
Not even at the McDonald's or whatever in
Nope.
high school. That is wild.
Yeah.
And so I want to go to the subject at hand a little bit.
Okay.
Like the basics of, I guess, talk therapy is what
Yeah.
you guys would say that you do, right?
Yeah.
You don't use any of the fancy zappy machines or
No.
any of those kind of new agey Chinese medicine techniques or nothing.
No. I
It's just kind of traditional.
Yeah.
So talk to me about like what sets apart the really good therapists and maybe even the really good clients. Like how do you become a really good client in that kind of circumstance? Like what are
Oh wow.
the dynamics to achieve change and success? Because I'm sure you have, if you're like anybody, you have winners and losers. Like some people respond really well to therapy and some people are hard nuts to crack.
Whew. I don't think that there's such a thing
As a hard
as
nut?
a bad client.
Okay.
I don't think that there is such a thing as a resistant client. That was a term that was used for
Yeah.
a long time,
Yeah.
but we're moving away from that because we're realizing it falls back on the therapist.
Is that right?
Yeah, is the client resistant?
So
Using
if I'm a resistant client, we'll say,
yeah. Well,
like, then what would a therapist do to overcome that?
I think
It
with
feels like my
the
fault.
client, the therapist might be going too fast and trying to touch upon some areas that the client is not ready.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's not because I'll use resistant for the lack of better term. It's not because the client is resistant now. That means that they don't want to. They're resisting to talking about it, and they would be resistant forever. The therapist might not have built enough rapport.
Yeah.
The therapist might, I've gone too fast, and the client is not ready to talk about, that trauma, for example.
Yeah, yeah. Interesting. And so is that what it's mostly about ultimately, is like getting the permission of the client to unearth the trauma and move past it eventually, or approach it kind of more rationally?
I don't think the permission. I don't think the permission is verbalized.
No.
Um,
No, but getting to that point almost of uncovering whatever it is that
yeah,
that person's stumbling. I guess this is probably more of, especially on a one-on-one counseling. Relationship counseling is probably a whole different dynamic.
yeah. I would say the readiness of the client um, plays a big role, um, and sometimes maybe they're resistant. What the therapist sees as resistance, the client does not even see it
Sure.
as resistant, but may not have had time to gain the insight. And the therapist is like, "What? Can't you see that?"
Right. It's like you have a nail in your head. Have you seen
Yeah.
that little video?
Yeah.
So I guess talk to me about, like, is there things that the therapist can do then to loosen the resistance, if you will, or help gain that perspective, or is it just really about we just build rapport and talk until the trust is kind of there?
Yeah, and rapport is not just talking about favorite football team or
Right.
anything like that, and you do that for 2 sessions, and then after
Right. Boom, boom.
rapport is always present. But I think if the rapport has not been built, you can have the best interventions in the world. This is just gonna fall flat.
Fair.
If the client does not trust you, if the client doesn't believe you won't be judging them, you will accept them.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're just wasting your time. I mean, the client might be, uncovering things that they were not even aware of, or trauma that they have not talked about to anyone else. So, if the client doesn't see that you care about them, you're wasting your time.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it's really, to some extent, about evidencing that care through, I suppose, good listening,
Yeah,
reflective questioning,
exactly.
not pushing too far into the soft spot yet.
Yeah, that's exactly what you're doing now.
Right here, yeah, I could,
Yeah.
I could do your job.
Yeah, you should. You should give it a shot.
Perhaps, maybe.
Yeah.
Get into your internship program. How much schooling do I have to go? I've got an economics degree so far.
You still need to get into a master's degree, either professional counseling or marriage and family therapy,
I
and
see.
social work.
They might not take me.
Hey,
We'll see.
give it a
They
try.
need people. Yeah,
Yeah,
I got a lot of things on my plate already. What was your, like? It sounded like you found pretty decent success early on in the therapist, more so than the law career, and then especially when you went off on your own, you're like full right away. Like,
Yeah.
what was it that was really drawing people to you? I know one thing I was going to ask is, like, you're a dude, and like 8 out of 10 or 9 out of 10 therapists are probably ladies these days
Yes.
in our region.
Correct.
Was that a benefit? Like, did you get, or do you see that at all, I guess, in the industry? Do, like, men prefer to talk to a man sometimes
No,
in
what
particular? Or, yeah, talk to me about that.
what I
gender
see,
dynamic.
and again, I'm not involved into the day-to-day
Sure.
scheduling.
But you've been there.
Yeah. When I hear about preference, I hear people wanting to work with a female therapist.
Okay.
Actually,
You rarely hear it the other way around.
rarely.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you were not a female therapist, but you still filled up right away. Did you have what would you say is your special sauce? Why were your clients willing to transition with you out of your former employer and follow you to your new practice and refer their friends, presumably, to some extent?
Yeah. I got highly specialized in eating disorders,
Oh, okay.
which is a niche area,
Okay.
which I think also a lot of therapists tend to shy away.
And did you experience your own problems in that space or something?
No, I got involved, for about 3.5 years before opening Momentum.
Okay.
I worked in an eating disorder only
Oh,
clinic.
okay.
Yeah.
And so that became kind of not your target market necessarily, but your special niche of
Specialty.
expertise.
Yeah,
Oh, interesting.
exactly.
And
Exactly.
like I remember like when I was in high school, early college was when kind of bulimia and anorexia was really kind of all over the
Yeah.
news and stuff. Is that still a significant challenge, or is it other more specialized disorders that are in the world today?
I know eating disorders, like you said, college, especially freshman year of college, is one of two. I mean, it's puberty and
Those two
college.
times, yeah.
Those 2 times when there's the highest occurrence of eating disorders.
Okay.
Although now we're seeing more occurrence in people in their 40s.
Mm-hmm. That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Always a time of transition, kind of, and whatever. And
Yeah. Yeah. And especially in Colorado.
when you say people, you really mostly mean women, or is it also men?
I think with men, men are very much underdiagnosed
Okay.
with eating disorders.
Okay.
Before, research thought that the ratio was 1 to 10,
Okay.
then down to 1 to 4, now 1 to 2.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so a lot
Oh,
more
interesting.
men having issues with food than was initially
Yeah.
thought.
And is it different than the anorexia and bulimia that we had back in those days, or is that the power pair still? Are there other types of eating disorders that I'm not
For men,
for men or for women
for men,
for anybody?
yeah.
Because anorexia is you just don't eat, right? And bulimia is you like puke it back out after you eat.
Yeah,
Right.
a binge
Ish.
and purge
Binge and purge,
cycles.
yeah.
Yeah. For men, it's not an official diagnosis, but bigorexia, or I think it's also called reverse anorexia. So
Oh.
being obsessed
Oh.
with bulking up.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Like even if you're 400 pounds, you're like, I gotta get even bigger.
Yeah, that obsession with
Or big muscles.
big
too.
muscles. Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
More.
Yeah.
Beefcake. Yeah. I'm thinking about it. I was gonna get some steroids and hit it hard for a couple of years just before I get too old.
Yeah. I think you should pass on that.
Okay. You haven't seen good success.
Yeah.
So
That.
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So at any age, even probably for men, and I've definitely probably seen those guys at the gym or whatever that are really focused on, like when their necks kind of start to disappear, you're like, dude, you're good. Like you
Yeah.
could kind of back it back a little bit.
And again, in my experience, it would be hard for me to give you an idea of the typical age for male or typical presentation, because I think in 3 years, I was thinking about it, I think I might have seen 4 or 5 guys
Okay. Yeah.
in 3 years.
Yeah. So still not a real.
Yeah, the disparity.
Even if it's diagnosed, they're not coming into you, or
Yeah.
most people aren't coming going anywhere.
guys or not.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Talk to me about like mental health changes, like since the time of COVID, during the time of COVID. I was thinking September of 21, was
Yeah.
we were kind of finally getting back to normal-ish,
Yeah.
but still barely in some ways. And then, like contrast that to like the Trump reelection, or not reelection, but I have to think both of those were like traumatic events for a lot of young people, in
Yeah.
particular.
Yeah.
Or maybe, COVID more for older people, even maybe a lot of fear, and such. So maybe that was more of a diverse thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about these big momentous
Yeah.
things that have happened these last few years.
With COVID, I was not seeing children at the time.
Okay.
But from what my child therapist have told me, that it had a dramatic effect, especially in development,
Okay.
in child development. So not the expectation of development are not matching the age
Yeah.
where they
The
should be.
8-year-olds are acting more like 6-year-olds.
Yeah,
Whatever.
yeah.
Hmm.
Not saying all, but that's what I heard my child therapist telling me,
Yeah.
that there's a big. It's very common to encounter that. So definitely children. I think COVID might have normalized mental health.
Yeah. Made it more normal to be able to
more-
go and seek help.
Yeah,
Kinda.
exactly.
Just like using a Zoom for a
Yes.
for a meeting or a therapy session is much more normalized. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's probably fair.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I saw a therapist was years ago, marriage counseling first, really, but it was what would I say? I'm a dude too, right? And and I'm from North Dakota, where people don't really go to counselors and therapists and stuff like that. So it was a little bit, I guess, progressive of me at that
Yeah.
time, 15 years ago or whatever it was, 12 years ago. And so, but yeah, now it's definitely a whole different thing. Nobody would think twice if you said, "Oh, I got to leave early because I got to go see my therapist."
Oh yeah. Yeah. The I think stigma is still there. I don't
Yeah, a
think
little
we,
bit.
we reached just like if someone was gonna say, "Oh, I gotta go see my doctor." I think there's still maybe a little bit of stigma
Right.
there.
Yeah, fair.
But it has dramatically decreased
Right.
over the past 20 years.
Well, and humans are wired that way, kind of, right? Like when we had tribes of like 50 or 100 people and stuff like that, if somebody was sick, it's like, well, let's stay away from that person, kind of thing, and
yeah.
I think not just even in the physical health space, but probably a little bit even in the mental health space. Like humans are naturally inclined to, because like depressed people are Debbie Downers, and they'll like it radiates a little bit, kind of, and it's like it is a communicable disease of sorts, in a way, and it can be addressed and it can be cured, right?
Yeah.
Or at least worked on.
Yeah, I don't think I 100% agree with what you're saying.
It's more metaphor,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but when I think about tribes of humans with some little wolf dogs running around and stuff like that, they're like, ooh, she mad, depressed, mean. Stay away.
Yeah. Well,
I'm playing.
I think the flip side of it, that's why I think isolation is so difficult on people, because it goes back to back then when you're pushed away from the tribe. I mean,
Right.
that was certain death.
Right. Yeah, that was one of the interesting, that the tribalism that was during that season, and the tribalism that exists now. Frankly, we're in, current events wise, we're in the truce or the ceasefire between Iran and Israel was just not even a week ago now, and everybody's like, what's going on here? And we've had these No Kings rallies, and there's just a lot of those tribes have become so much more tribal and defined, I guess, in some ways, since I was a little kid.
Yeah.
If you will, kind of the red team and the blue team or whatever.
Yeah, I didn't grow up here, so
Oh yeah, for sure.
But how was it back? I don't want to give away your age.
Yeah, well,
but
I'm 50.
Yeah.
It's no secret, but I'm from rural North Dakota, so it was a
Yeah.
very conservative region anyway.
Oh yeah.
But North Dakota actually has, like, the Bank of North Dakota is a little bit like a mini Federal Reserve.
Oh really?
And North Dakota has a strong Northern European kind of socialist culture-ish, but not in such a structured way, because the Northern Europeans, in those cold climates, in which North Dakota is also,
Yeah.
there's going to be times when you just got to rely on each other and community. And, if John breaks his leg in a tractor accident, well, then his neighbors are putting his crops in for him that year and bringing some money over to his wife so she can keep buying groceries in the meantime or whatever. And so there's this kind of so it's almost like non-political region, and you kind of do what needs to be done
Yeah.
or whatever. And so I grew up in that environment, and so there was, there was a few people that, like I remember Dad saying, I think his dad voted for Jimmy Carter probably about one of my classmates, and it was like, that was pretty rare versus Ronald Reagan, who cleaned house back in the day. And when I first moved to Fort Collins, it was a very purple community and
Oh yeah.
kind of liberty leaning, and it was even years and years before even marijuana legalization and stuff, which are fairly progressive and liberty oriented kind of things, I suppose. But now being a conservative leaning libertarian type is a little bit, I'm in the 35% camp. It's almost, there's a lot of, I think Kamala won Larimer County like 65-35.
Oh really?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a very, for somebody, and I've been mostly an independent voter all my life and
Yeah.
never registered, but it's almost like there's a little bit of, oh, you're one of those.
Oh really?
'Cause-
You
not
encountered that?
really, but you do sometimes. The business community is where I live, though, and the business community is probably more like 60-40
Yeah.
independents and conservatives.
Yeah.
Because hopefully they make more money and they want to pay less taxes. But if the Republicans would actually do less taxes, that would be nice one day. I don't know. It seems like they both raise taxes.
Yeah.
They're both parties are hurtling us to financial devastation. Just the Republicans are doing it more slowly, stretching out the fun. Anyway, I digress. But yeah, it definitely has become well, and part of it's just because we're in a city. And if you're in a 100-person town, you don't really have room to have like enemies or whatever. Everybody's kind of friends with everybody. But as
Yeah.
as cities get bigger and towns get bigger, then there can be kind of more room for fighting. But I think Fort Collins has a great community sense.
Yeah.
And I think there's a level of pragmatism coming back into the culture.
What do you mean?
Like our current city council, when they got elected 3 years ago ish, they had a list of 31 priorities.
That's a lot of priorities.
It is a lot of priorities. Historically, there was only such a thing as a priority. It was not a plural word until like 100 years ago. And I mocked that a little bit on my LinkedIn and probably got a bunch of people canceling me because of that. But I was like, we can't really have 31. But a lot of them were around like climate initiatives and diversity, equity, and inclusion things and stuff like that. And some of those are great, but like, what's Fort Collins going to actually do to affect the climate of the world? Not that much. It doesn't seem like it really needs to be one of the 31 priorities. Maybe down the list a little ways or whatever. Maybe have 5 priorities.
But concentrate a little bit more on what can...
what brings business in.
Yeah.
We've got a huge economic development office here in the city, but there's really not much developable land to build new manufacturing places and things like that. And so why are we expending a lot of resources to bring companies into the region that don't have any place to put their... Then they just move over to Milliken.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well,
Yeah.
you're welcome, Milliken. I'm not an expert on anything.
Definitely not.
And I definitely
Myself.
don't cancel anybody that doesn't want to cancel me. And that's kind of where I come out with the
Yeah.
tribalism stuff. So I want to take a short break and take a potty break, and then we'll come back onto the mics.
Sounds like a plan to me.
All right, cheers. Farther down.
Can
you
put
can
it
bend
a
it
little
down.
farther down?
Yep.
Oh,
there you go.
okay, so I can
Yeah.
see you.
Yeah, that's better.
It's not as distracting.
Okay, that's great. Are we recording again, Ava Sue? Perfect. Okay, now I remember. And we're back. So one of the things I was thinking about is like one of the changes in your field, not adjacent field, I guess, is things like, I guess, chemically assisted trauma therapy.
Oh, yeah.
Ketamine and mushroom psychedelics, arguably, and even ayahuasca and
Yes.
different MDMA. Like, is that nothing? Your firm doesn't do anything with any of that, but what is do you have
We
thoughts on that?
We don't. The thoughts on that, from what I've read, ketamine has been the most researched.
Yeah.
And is FDA approved, and has proven a lot of success with trauma and depression.
Okay. And what is ketamine? Is that like a tranquilizer of some sort, or what's that substance? Do you know?
I think ketamine is a horse tranquilizer
Okay.
and had been used before for recreational purposes,
Yeah, yeah.
and then now is being used to treat
Gotcha.
trauma, depression, maybe other conditions.
And Colorado's one of the leaders in terms of like, making mushrooms not, what is it, decriminalized?
Yeah,
Denver is.
yeah.
And so do you have competition from mushroom trip guides and stuff? Like, do they get your customers away sometimes? They're like, I've been liking this talk therapy, but decided to go on a different route.
That I don't know.
Okay.
I've not had clients tell us anything like that.
Gotcha. I guess they don't really have an exit survey necessarily. They just stop booking probably most of the time.
Yeah. But if it's effective and it's
So you're not opposed to that experimentation?
whatever helps,
even
as
further?
long as it's approved, done in a medical setting, or a setting that would not make the client worse.
Yeah.
As long as it
Or
helps the
unsafe.
client, I'm not gonna be against it.
And how about the flagship product for Colorado, marijuana? Do you find that that's interruptive in people's mental health a lot? Do you have a lot of clients and patients that are struggling from that space? Are they hiding from their problems with marijuana, and then if they start doing therapy, they stop? Like, I would just be curious about your experience in that space, if there's any, even anecdotal.
Yeah, short answer. No experience besides some anecdotal experience of some of therapists telling me that they have worked with clients who were meeting diagnosis for cannabis addiction.
Okay.
But apart from that, I think the research might be split on some of the effects depending on the presentation.
Mm-hmm.
So really, at this point, I'm not dodging the bullet. I just don't have enough data to speak to it.
And how about in the eating disorder space? Can you prescribe edibles to make you have a better appetite if you got anorexia?
I have not seen that.
Or the sticky icky?
I've not encountered any eating disorder treatment that involved that.
Okay, just curious.
Yeah.
Well, because that was a thing with getting medical approved, was for like chemo patients that didn't have an appetite. It was like,
Oh yeah.
here, smoke this, and then you'll be, have the munchies.
Yeah.
And
Well,
so I thought maybe it was cross applicable. I don't know.
Well, with eating disorders, it's about the food, but it's not about the food.
Right.
There is a lot more behind it.
Yeah. So I wanted to go to, before we jump all the way in the time machine back to little Julian, I wanted to go to law.
Okay.
Like, what caused you to pursue? Because law's a tough field, right?
Yeah,
like,
it
you got to
is.
go take a bunch of education, then a bunch more. You pass these exams and all that. What made you point yourself in that direction in the first place? Did you have was your dad a lawyer or something like that, and he wanted you to follow in his footsteps, or
No.
what led you down that path?
No, my dad was in business, so that's why I said
Oh.
I didn't have experience, hands-on
You got an
experience.
example though,
but, yeah. But law was. So I was doing a actually business degree in college.
Okay.
But then again, I don't think I'm really using very much of it and the theory from a college.
For sure. Well, even an MBA, it doesn't really equip you to run a rapidly growing company.
Yeah, I don't think it equips you to learn about cash flow and make payroll.
Probably would do that.
And all of that. Theories was great, but it didn't teach me much about being in the trenches, that's for sure.
And then, like, after undergraduate, you're like,
I thought it would be a good add-on
to
the business degree. So went to law school down in Miami, and then worked as an attorney after.
Fair enough. Okay. Let's jump in the time machine and go to the way back.
Okay. Is it a tradition at the LoCo podcast?
Yes. Pretty much everybody jumps in the time machine.
In the time machine?
Yeah.
Okay.
We are in first grade or first grade equivalent somewhere in France.
Yes.
Which is where? Where were you when you were 5 years old?
5 years old. Yeah. Is first grade the equivalent of?
Yeah,
like
5 or 6.
5, 6.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was at the school where I went from my first kindergarten
Okay.
until graduating from high school.
Oh, really? One
Yep.
school?
One
Okay.
school.
And was it a private school or a?
It was private. It was Catholic school, but
Okay.
very almost no religious
Oh, interesting.
affiliation.
Yeah. More of a school enterprise run by the Catholic Church kind of thing, almost.
Yeah, and it was also funded by the public system. I
Oh,
mean,
okay.
it's just not. I don't think that there's that same amount of dichotomy as
Gotcha.
in the US between
Yeah.
a private and public
Gotcha.
school.
It was just the school for the kids that lived right around there, kind of thing, for the most part.
Exactly.
As long as they didn't like hate Catholics or whatever.
Yeah, the reason I went is because we used to live right around the corner.
Okay. Yeah. Easy peasy.
Yeah.
So how many kids were in this school?
Oh. Well, we had one class per grade for grade school.
Yeah.
Then I think we had about 3 classes per grade. Then for middle school,
And those classes are like 30 kids or something? 20 or 30?
25, 30.
Okay.
So I'll let you do the math
Yeah.
in front of
somewhere
your audience.
right around 800
Yeah.
students, something like that. 600
Yeah.
to 900, somewhere there.
So,
Okay.
yeah,
So
it's-
pretty big school-ish, but not huge.
No, compared to some schools.
And reasonable class sizes and
Yes.
things like that. And so,
Yeah.
where was this? Was it in a city environment?
Yeah.
Mid-sized city? What was describe the region? What was your dad's business?
Yeah.
Set the stage for me a little bit.
City, metro area
Okay.
was about the size of Fort Collins.
Okay.
So
okay.
that's why I feel comfortable
yeah.
with
Nice
the
sized
side.
city. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why Miami was not
Right,
was not my
fair.
thing.
How far from the real city? And is that Paris or what else?
Yeah,
What's
Paris,
the biggest real
but-
city?
Yeah, I mean the metro was about 300,000 people, so
Okay.
that was still a
so
city.
pretty big city. Yeah.
Yeah, good sized city. Again, not too big, not too small.
Yeah.
And then once you stepped out of the city, it was very rural.
Yeah.
Rolling hills.
Italian countryside style, except France.
Yeah.
Wineries and such.
No more cattle.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. Okay.
Yep.
I didn't realize that France was a significant cattle producing region.
Oh yeah, especially the region where I grew up.
So it's like the
especially-
hill country almost kind of thing.
So a lot of especially beef.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. And your dad's business was what?
So his
Or maybe
business.
not at that time, but yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, he has always done the same thing.
Okay.
Since I grew up. So he was self-employed. He was his own boss. He didn't have a company.
Oh,
but
so you didn't have 100 employees
No.
4 years later or anything?
he had himself.
Okay. And what was he doing?
He was. I don't know how you'd call that. Maybe like sales rep. Huh?
Okay. Yep.
But representing factories, in between factories.
Multiple different products and companies, and he just bop around and sell stuff.
Yeah, so in between, but at the more, I was going to say, bulky level, in between wholesalers and
Distributor.
distributors, wholesalers, and the factory. So
Okay,
he was
interesting.
at that
Interesting.
step. Huh?
Yeah. Moving it out of the factories into whatever the next step in the chain was.
Yep.
Okay, cool. And then your mom does she
Stay at
work
home.
as well? Stay at home mom.
Yeah.
Okay. Just little Julian, or did you have other siblings too?
Just by myself.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Man, you got all mom's attention.
Exactly.
Explains a lot about your personality.
What does it explain? Tell me.
You're just waiting to find a girl like your mother, probably. Needs all her attention. No, who knows? So, describe little Julian. Were you a good student? Were you a athlete? Were you kissing all the girls? Like, what was the?
Yeah, no, just
What do you remember about yourself back then?
good student. calm, quiet.
Any sports? Does everybody play soccer in France too, or is that
Yeah, but it was not at the competitive level.
okay?
But the minute we went to recess, that's we were picking up the ball,
Yeah, yeah.
and
That
until the
was what
last
you
second. Yeah,
did. Gotcha,
yeah,
gotcha. So that's kind of the national sport there, as many places in Europe, right?
yeah. Basketball
Okay,
also,
okay.
then rugby, of course. But
All right.
I would say soccer is probably the most popular.
Yeah, yeah. And then like through all the way through high school, and then did you come to the U.S. for college?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And talk to me about that. Like, I can't imagine all your friends did that, right?
One
Or
of my friend did.
okay,
That's how he gave me the idea.
okay, like the year before or
Yeah.
something like that. Okay. So
Exactly.
talk to me about that kind of transition and thought process. And was your mommy terrified to lose her little Julian and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, that was hard. Looking back at it, I think I don't know if it was a mix of naivete
Yeah.
and really wanting to see the world. But
Yeah.
when I think about it, I would not be able.
You're
to
kind of
do
surprised
that.
you made
Oh,
that decision.
very much.
Okay. And talk. So, like, were you like reflective about it for a while, or was it a little bit of an impulse? Your buddy went. He said it was awesome, and you're like, "Hey, sign me up."
Something in between.
Yeah. Well, because it cost a ton also to attend college out of the country for international
Yeah.
students, kind of.
Yeah.
So it's a bigger investment than just going to your hometown university.
Yeah, big investment. But my parents thought it was worth it. My dad being in business,
Yeah.
always thought that I needed to master English,
Mm,
to of course get a good education,
sure.
education in business. So more of an investment, something that
yeah, yeah.
eventually would pay off,
Yeah, yeah.
which I hope it did.
Did you contemplate returning to France after college, or not really once you
No.
were here? Like, and why? Talk to me about that.
It just really didn't occur to me. It feels good.
Okay.
If it's good living here, I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
especially now,
Yeah, yeah.
25 years down the road, I didn't contemplate it at the time, and the longer I stayed,
The less
least-
likely it became.
yeah, because I never lived as an adult in France,
Fair. Yeah, yeah.
and
Everything you knew as an adult was already here, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Talk to me about the immigration process. I assume you came like on a student visa at first, and then you're
Yeah.
like, "Hey, can I stay?" kind of thing after it's done. Or
yeah.
how does
So
that go down?
yeah, student visa, work visa, green card, and then now I'm a American citizen.
How long?
How long?
How long did the process take, or how long have you been a citizen?
I've been a citizen since 2022.
Okay, so it took
Yeah.
quite a while.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
maybe you weren't pushing it the whole time. As long as you got a green card and whatever, it's fine.
yeah. When I had the green card, I was not pushing it.
if you if you weren't a citizen yet, would you be nervous after Trump got elected?
Oh,
Even if you had a green card, you're like, I don't know, I'm French. I'm playing. But I mean, I don't know. Were your parents disappointed that you didn't return? Do you think, or have you talked to
they
them?
never
about
told
that?
me.
Okay, did they come to visit you over
Yeah.
here pretty regularly?
Yeah, well, they were here right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
You mentioned that, and so,
Yeah.
but have they done that ever since you came here?
Oh,
kinda?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very frequently. So
Yeah.
that's been great.
They've never thought about emigrating over to here, or have they?
Well, not speaking English. I
Right, it
think
makes it tough. Yeah,
that really makes it tough. But
and if they
otherwise-
spoke Spanish, it would be easier than French, at least because we have quite a few Spanish speakers around in Colorado,
Yeah.
at least.
yeah, but I think that's what
Yeah,
really stops them, and because otherwise that would be really great
Yeah,
to
yeah.
to have them around. That's something I was not thinking about 25 years ago.
you could move them to Quebec.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah.
a lot closer than France when you want to visit.
That's
And the
true.
weather's pretty nice. you know.
yeah.
Probably not quite as nice as it is where you came from. What is the weather like in that?
It's actually
Hill
pretty
country.
rainy.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Yeah, it's not Seattle,
Yeah.
Pacific Northwest rainy, but
It's in that kind of
yeah,
ish realm of foresty stuff and pastures and stuff. But that's where there's a lot of cows, is because the grass grows all the time.
We sure have very green pastures.
Fair, fair.
I mean, it was a beautiful, again, a beautiful, beautiful area.
Yeah, you're not dissing France or where you come from or
No,
nothing like that.
not
It
at
just
all.
kind of
No.
was here, and it just didn't
Yeah.
really occur to me to but keep growing.
Yeah. The more I was planting my roots, and but absolutely not. Yeah, I think the city where I grew up is a beautiful little city. It's not touristy, but I would recommend. And it was just an easy, good quality of life.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just, I mean, there's no attraction there, but otherwise, it was a very good upbringing.
Back into the therapy realm just a little bit.
Okay.
And then we're going to do the random questions generator.
Oh,
And then the final segment is the LoCo Experience. That's the craziest experience that you're willing to share. Do you remember that?
no.
Oh, yeah. So that
What is it?
the title segment of the podcast is called the LoCo Experience. In this case, loco meaning crazy.
Yeah.
And so your ask is to describe the craziest experience of your lifetime that you're willing for your employees and clients to hear.
First,
If
I
you've had
can't.
a near-death experience or I don't know, whatever, moving to the USA as an innocent, ignorant young French boy. I don't know what your local experience is, but you've got about 12 minutes to figure it out.
Oh,
You've got one.
That's why,
I've got so many loco experiences, Julie, and I can put a list of 20 down.
that's why I was asking you for the questions before.
Yeah. Well, it was in the format overview that I sent you. Did I not send you that?
No, you didn't.
Oh, did Julian do his media release, Ava? Probably not. We'll
What?
send it to you. We send a format overview and a media release document out so that you can say, yes, it's okay for us to release this production.
Oh,
Yeah. We'll make sure we follow up. You got that, Ava? Are you going to do that follow-up? Sure. Are you listening? Yeah. Not really. We're probably going to wrap up a little early. FYI, probably about 20 minutes or so. So, okay. So, one thing I wanted to ask you, Julian, is like, how does one we know how to not have to go see the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you watch your diet, you exercise, you watch your blood pressure, different things, whatever,
Yeah.
and you can kind of not have to go see the doctor. How do you
Yeah.
not have to go see the therapist as a human living in the world today with World War III and Donald Trump and COVID nation and all the crazy stuff of the world? Like, how do we stay? Not that, I mean, it sounds like you'd be like ruining your own business. You want as many
Oh, no.
struggling people, but I know that your actual goal is to have people not be struggling.
yeah.
So talk to me about talk to me as a human person. Like, what are some of the things I can do? Is it meditation? Is it relationships? Is it prayer? Is it journaling? Like, what are some of the things I can do
Yeah.
to keep my own mental health, keep my own garden tended, so I don't have to hire a gardener to help me uncover some of that stuff?
Well, first, I think that there are life events where you have to hire a gardener.
Fair. If you're going through divorce, your
Divorce,
child
death.
just died,
Yeah.
something, hire a gardener.
Yeah.
Fair.
And it can be, it doesn't have to be even that. It can be a child going from childhood to teenagers.
Through puberty.
Yeah. How does a parent navigate that? It can be a layoff. It can be for a multitude of reasons that for which you may be okay. I may be okay to deal with that, but you may not be okay for that same reason, and vice versa.
Or one thing that seems relatively modest might throw me for a loop,
Exactly.
but something else might totally swing you after you've gone through something even worse. Seemingly.
Exactly.
Yeah, interesting. Like my wife's mom died, oh my gosh, 3 years ago now, I guess.
Uh-huh.
And man, it's been hard for Jill to just really fully
yeah.
recover.
Of
You know,
course.
and she was my hero too. I mean, I loved that woman.
Yeah.
But I've lost, my own grandparents or other family or whatever, and not been nearly as phased, Anyway, so being acknowledging that kind of some of these events, and how do you recognize if it's time? I guess. And I know that's probably an internal question,
Oof,
but
yeah.
like if I have this challenge going on and I'm feeling a little funky or whatever, does that mean just sign up, or like how do we know?
I think probably people wait too long.
Okay. So
Um,
err on the side of not caution, like get in there
yeah,
and get a tune up.
yeah,
If your brakes are squeaking, like go get them checked.
yeah. Um, why not?
Yeah.
You will have someone to reflect
Yeah. Yeah.
on your situation if it's also a tough decision to take,
Yeah. Yeah.
the vulnerable decision,
Yeah.
going to see someone and share parts of your life that have been very private, and
Yeah. Yeah.
for some people, they, again, like we were talking about the stigma, it's seen as a failure.
Yeah. Yeah. A weakness, kind
I
of.
wasn't, yeah, yeah, a weakness. I was not able to handle my stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. One thing that's interesting is like you mentioned you're from. I don't know about if you've been active in your Catholic faith,
Yeah.
but you went to a Catholic school,
Hmm.
and then you have confession, right? That tradition of
Oh
confession.
yeah.
And I think, and even for our church, we have like marriage counseling things, and our
Yeah.
pastors and chaplains kind of serve a therapist type function in the military, for example,
Oh yeah.
right? But what does, like, how do I want to say this quite right? Like, has the decline of organized religion increased the demand for therapists and stuff? Like, do priests and pastors and reverends and
Hmm.
elders and stuff like that, like, it seems like a lot of time if I imagine the world 100 years ago, that was where the people got their
Yeah.
mental health care,
Yeah.
right? And now less people go to church and more people go to therapy in comparison, probably. Is it better now? Like, I mean, those priests weren't really trained in what your people are trained in. It's a whole different field, right?
Yeah. Um.
But it also allows a little bit more relational and openness. I think maybe that's some of the barriers that people have built up in, I guess we'll call it modern society, right?
Yeah.
Like you used to be a member of a church, and if your mental health started going a little sideways or whatever, you just wanted to talk to somebody, you'd go talk to the priest, and people would see you like walking to the church and talking to the priest on a Tuesday afternoon. And it was a lot more, I mean, it's not like the priest would be spilling the beans about what you
Yeah.
were talking about, but it was more of a kind of an open thing. And then it kind of, I don't know, depends on the culture. So many different cultures around.
Yeah. I think um, what has played a role, if and I don't know about organized religion, how it is compared to several years ago, the amount of people going to church,
Yeah. I
but
think a long,
you
slow down trend
okay.
mostly.
So what I'm coming back to the actual first question
Well,
that you asked me about, what would be some self-care routines so to become
yes,
more
yes.
resilient. Well, I think church created a community.
Yeah, being a part of a community,
Being a part of
whether it's a
community.
church
Hmm.
or even a local think tank chapter or a
Yeah,
neighborhood association or
exactly.
something, chess club.
Yeah, and we definitely see a
Mm.
decline on that. So,
Hmm.
um, with the decline of people being involved in religious communities,
Yeah, yeah.
then there is a decline
Huh.
in the togetherness of people,
Yeah, yeah,
which we know creates loneliness,
yeah,
which
yeah.
then can lead
Well,
to
everybody that does
depression.
something terrible, like these school shootings and stuff like that, they're almost all isolated,
Oh yeah.
And so I think that's probably true. Yeah, be part of any community. There's an old book that was talked about in this podcast years ago, Join or Die.
Oh yeah.
Have you heard of it?
No.
It's kind of like it's talking about things like Rotary Club and Sertoma and the JCs and churches and stuff, and
Mm.
nobody's really a part of anything, and it's like causing people to die,
And yeah,
literally.
yeah, it's becoming very problematic.
Yeah, yeah.
That isolation leading to loneliness and decline in mental health.
Interesting. Are you ready for the random questions segment?
I do have a choice.
No. So you're gonna pick 3 of these ping pong balls, and you can
Okay.
just grab that whole jar if you want to just set it beside you or something, or just grab 3.
Okay.
Either way,
Okay, I'll grab
you can grab one at a time. I
one
like
at
it.
a time,
I like
yeah.
it.
Okay, I'm not looking.
Dig deep. Yeah, we'll get the tough ones.
Number 5.
I like this one. What's the most important lesson you've learned from failure?
Is there such a thing as failure?
As long as you learn a lesson, not necessarily, I
Yeah.
suppose. But what seemed like a failure at the time, perhaps.
What seemed like a failure at the time, using it as a way to learn to not do that same, do the same thing.
Yeah, yeah.
What I learned about failure is that that's when I learned the most. During those
The
those
moments
situations.
immediately after.
Pardon?
The moments immediately after the failure.
Yeah, the
and
moment
leading up to the next effort.
Yeah, the moment immediately after the failure, yeah, it's painful.
Sure. Sure.
It's painful. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen in business. It's we're just talking about loneliness. That's where having people around you to provide that support can.
And even perspective.
Yeah,
Hey, you might be feeling like you failed right now, but
yeah,
look at all you've learned.
yeah. Being tremendously helpful. So yeah, failure, pain, hurts.
Sure.
and I think community can be the most helpful to maybe damper the pain
Yeah.
and then at least in business, at least because failure is a kind of big
Yeah, right.
a big term. I was looking at failure more for the business standpoint.
Fair.
How can I take responsibility?
Yeah, how did I contribute to this?
Yeah, how did I contribute to this so I don't contribute to it again?
One of the quips I make occasionally about why LoCo think is cool is it's nice to learn from the mistakes of others occasionally instead of just your own.
Yeah.
All right, grab the next ball.
Okay. 15.
What was the last thing you Googled or the last meme you downloaded?
Last thing I Googled. Well, let me tell you. Last thing I Googled was your address because I forgot where
It was on the calendar.
where the
Reasonable.
LoCo think tank.
Where the chapter meeting was going to be here today.
What?
Where the chapter meeting was going to be today.
Oh no! I knew he was going to be here, but I forgot
Where we
which road to turn from Riverside.
Very good. What's your social media of choice?
What,
Do you do that? Do you go on X or Facebook or Instagram or any of those?
I use Facebook only for therapy group, especially as we're going to new cities. So last thing I Googled were what spice go on broccoli.
Oh, on broccoli?
Yeah.
I think just salt.
Yeah.
At least
That's
for
what.
me.
Yeah.
Maybe
That's,
lemon pepper or something too.
yeah. That's exactly what Google told me.
Oh, see, you just ask me from now on.
You're a walking Google.
one more ping pong ball, and we'll move on to the LoCo Experience.
Okay, hold on. Just drinking your very delicious
Yes.
blood orange.
It's nice
water.
That bubble water, which is what brand is that again? I forget. Anyway, it's colored. Like most of the bubble water doesn't have any color to it, but I like actually having something to look at instead of just a ghost of orange.
The transparency.
Yeah. Number 2.
No, 27. Right?
Yep.
Do you have a question? 27.
I'm going to ask you number 2 first, though, because this one's too funny. Ava found this one.
So I'm gonna get 4 questions.
4 questions. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm going to come back for 27. Would you rather?
Ava, if it's a bad question, I'm blaming you.
Would you rather fight one horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses?
Think about it for a second.
Yeah. That's a heck of a riddle. So say that again.
Would you rather fight one horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses?
A huge duck or a bunch of small horses.
I would think of it as just like a My Little Pony smashing session. Kicking horses all over the place. Because they don't have, like that big duck is going to have a gigantic, like even little ducks have like a thumb-sized bill.
Yeah.
So a horse-sized duck would probably be able to take your whole head and then just kill you. Whereas a duck-sized horse, like horses have kind of little nibbler mouths in comparison. So I think they would nip you a lot. But how are they going to actually hurt you?
I think this is truly the craziest question I've ever
But
been
you still
asked.
have to answer. Yeah, that's the
Oh, I
rules.
still have to answer.
Yeah. One duck-sized horse or one horse-sized duck or 100
You-
duck-sized horses.
You know that I will remember that question for the rest of my life. It's gonna haunt me.
I hope so.
The rest of my life.
You're welcome.
I would have said neither because I probably would be hiding at home trying to answer that question. I don't know. 100 was that little horses?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen the 100 men against a gorilla memes online at all lately?
No.
there's this meme or a joke or whatever, like, who would win in a fight, a gorilla or 100 men? And it got running around for a while, and then there's all these jokes where these women are like, honey, I signed you up for a new contract job. All you have to be is one of 100 men that fight a gorilla. And the husbands are like, who's going to be first? Like,
Yeah.
how's that go down?
Oh, it's one after the other. It's not 100 at a time.
Well, or 100 at a time, but still, who rushes the gorilla? Like, I'm going to be one of the 20 dudes that just kind of stand back a little bit and see how the first 80 fare, probably.
Or like a rugby type of.
Basically, yeah, when you got the rugby guy and there's
Yeah.
Andre the Giant in the game.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so 27. What's the strangest way you've ever injured yourself?
Oh, God. I'll tell you several, which is me bumping myself against furniture, and
Oh,
then
yes.
3 days later, I'm look at my leg and where's this bruise coming from? And I don't know. I guess I'm getting older
Yeah,
because
my
I
hips
keep.
right here have a lot of bruises on them from taking
Yeah.
corners too tight and stuff.
Do you think it's old age?
Yeah, I suppose. Like, we're just not as connected to our bodies as we used to be,
Yeah.
awareness-wise.
Yeah.
And you're like, ugh, I didn't even barely remember bumping. Then I got this big old bruise there now.
Yeah, I keep doing that at a frequency that I wish I was not doing it. So weirdest is bumping into
Just
furniture.
random bruises that you don't know where
on
they
the-
came from.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say on a daily basis, but a little too often for my taste.
Fair. And the LoCo Experience is our closing segment.
Craziest experience.
Yeah, and it might be just a moment, an hour, an evening, but it could be, the first week in America I was so alone, or my friend moved back. I don't know.
I would say I tend to be pretty risk averse on a day-to-day
Okay.
basis, but there are, of course, the two biggest crazy wild rides have been me moving to the US and me opening Momentum. Like I said, I don't know what got through me to move to a different country, having basic.
Were you kind
English.
of that same risk averse young man and stuff too?
Yeah.
Like that was still out of character?
Yeah, yeah. Looking back, I don't know what got through my head that I thought with very basic academic knowledge of the English language that I could move to a different country. But at the end of the day, it worked
Yeah.
out. It worked out nicely. But that was
How long did it take you to feel comfortable in the U.S. and especially as far as your communication went, fluency?
Communication, I think it got better. It didn't get perfect, very high
Well, you
level.
still talk kind of funny. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
It's fine. Like, but you can say the Faure thing, and I can't. So, yeah.
I would say after one semester,
Okay.
it got much better, and then it kept increasing maybe over the next couple
Yeah.
of years, maybe.
Yeah.
But there was a big jump.
Kind of by the time the
Yeah.
first 6 months was huge, and then
Exactly. Yeah.
you kind of topped out there right after college and didn't really lose much
Yeah.
of your accent after that.
Yeah. It was like, what did you say? What did you say?
I like it. We don't have very many. I know probably about a half dozen French immigrants in Fort Collins here. A few that have different businesses. A property
Oh.
management company is owned by a French couple in town here.
Oh,
And
really?
some stuff. Yeah, I probably have to try to figure out. I can make you some introductions if you've been missing. Do you
Yeah.
have anybody to talk French with when your parents aren't here?
Nope.
Oh, well, you guys follow Julian on LinkedIn and send him a message if you're a native French speaker or even just getting good at it and you want to have
Yeah.
phone calls, practice phone calls. I know for Lenny, our exchange student, like he really missed just talking in Finnish. He would talk to his parents once a week for half an hour or something
Yeah.
like that, but otherwise there was nobody to talk to in Finnish, hardly.
For me, it was very draining, very mentally draining at first.
Yeah.
To be speaking a different language.
Translating everything.
Yeah, translating everything in my head. That was, yeah.
And you do everything in English now? Like
Yeah.
your dreams are in English, your
Yeah.
thoughts come in English first. You don't have to translate that stuff.
Exactly.
Once in a while, you're looking for a perfect word and you're like, it's whatever the French word of this is, I suppose. But
It's more the opposite.
oh, really?
Yeah, because especially with words that are more technical,
Yep,
maybe.
in the industry kind of
Yeah,
relative.
exactly. Then I have a hard time explaining that to my parents.
Sure.
Because that has replaced the English world. It's not that it has replaced something
Right.
that existed
Yeah.
existed for me before.
But it was kind of defined, and it was defined kind of in English for you,
Yes.
as far as that goes.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And like as far as the momentum experience goes,
Yeah.
you could have just stopped hiring people
I could.
after 2
Could
or
have.
3 or 4 or 10 or
Yeah.
like did it just not seem risky along that journey?
It felt very natural.
Okay.
We had the clients. I didn't want to turn them away,
Yeah.
so I kept hiring.
And you knew that some other places weren't as good as you were already.
Pardon me?
You knew that some other firms weren't doing as good as stuff. Like you wanted
Well,
to do things different and better.
Yeah, not necessarily. I think that there's a great community of therapists.
So it's almost like a no child left behind.
Yeah,
We want to be able to provide service for everybody that wants it,
yeah,
needs it,
yeah,
has insurance,
yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah, or Medicaid. So it felt like it was a natural progression. We have the clients enough to provide enough clients to our current therapist,
Yep.
therefore provide them enough income.
Yep.
Then
We have
let's keep going.
Young therapists, young interns
Yeah.
that need more hours. We've got supervisors with enough capacity.
Yeah,
Let's just keep rolling.
exactly, exactly. I mean, I'll tell you, like my first 2-3 employees, there were some days I was pretty hard. Like, what did I do? I just hired this person. I have no clue if it's going to keep going because
Yeah.
it's not because we have a lot of clients now that we'll have enough clients for
Sure.
this person, and they trusted me with their job, and
Yeah.
eventually it worked out.
Yeah, cool. Well, I've been impressed. It's really neat to see. I was a banker for a long time. I don't remember if I've ever seen a company grow quite as fast, like
Oh, really?
from a year-over-year revenue growth. It's just unusual. Even the Otterbox dude was like, "Yeah, we're a 30-year overnight success." They went 20 years until they really caught fire and hit that hockey stick, but they never
Oh, wow.
really, it wasn't just we started and everybody wanted our stuff right away. So
Oh, I didn't know that.
No, yeah,
I thought it was a newer company.
Oh, no. It was around for 20 years at least before it started really getting popular.
Oh.
So, but he's still got a bigger balance sheet than you. You got a long ways to go, and he's a manufacturer, so you'll never make his kind of margins probably.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
Yeah, it's
But
definitely
you're
a
doing
lot
what you
more
want to do.
risky in the goods as opposed to services, I think.
Totally.
I think.
Well,
But yeah, I've loved every minute since for the past 4 years. It's I
would you ever go back and get like an MBA or something to feel like you've got that business education, or you can get everything you need from videos and tutorials and learning?
first I've been in school too long. I really do not want to be
I've got
back in
8
school.
years in school already.
So too many schools. So if, knock on wood, I don't have to go to school, that's good. And the idea of business school compared to being in the trenches.
Right. Like I can look at my bank accounts, I can get some reports and learn.
I don't think is business school going to teach you how to coach an employee?
Yeah, how to build teams, how to set up KPIs for every single member of your team.
Exactly. Thank you, by the way, for
That was a
helping
good
me out on
conversation
that.
this
Yeah.
afternoon. Yeah.
Yeah,
liked it.
we just had a conversation earlier about if you should go to another market, if you should offer different services. There is a lot more weight to your decisions when it's your own money
Totally.
and it's
Totally.
not a paper.
100%.
Yeah. So I'm learning
the learning progression goes faster
yeah.
when you're playing with your own money instead of dad's university pen check writer.
Oh yeah, you got to make decisions fast. I'll tell you that.
When my dad sent me off to college, he said, "Son, the farm's big enough now. I'd be able to help you with your schooling a little bit, but I think you get a lot more out of it if you pay for it yourself." And it's kind of that way. These lessons you're learning right now, these last 4 years, are probably the biggest and potentially the most expensive, but also potentially the most lucrative decisions you're going to make.
And I just learned so much that I'm very thankful that of course that the company is working well.
Yeah.
And the enjoyment that I have out of it it's very empowering to be your own boss.
Do you miss
No.
direct care therapy, being in the trenches?
I think I was getting burnt out.
Oh, really?
Toward the end, so I don't miss it. But
But all you guys
during
that
a
work
career-
for Momentum that are going to listen to this, you guys should stay a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, it had been 2021, so it had been over 10 years of practice. And I've gone through periods in my career that were dedicated more to the clinical work, other periods where that was more geared
client-facing stuff.
go more toward contemplating business. So it's not because right now I'm more dedicated to the business and more attracted to the business that I wouldn't go back.
Well, look at the
to it
leverage
later.
you have. Like if you can help 100 employees do a better job of finding a great place to work, learning with great supervision, providing great care to their customers, hearing them. That's way more than you could ever do by yourself.
Oh yeah, definitely a much bigger impact. And sometimes I have to stop and just think, that, especially when I look at payroll and thinking, after all 3 years,
if this payroll doesn't go through, this is going to be a lot of impact on a lot of people's budgets here.
more like 3 years ago, that was a more realistic payroll.
Right. That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on all your growth and success, and many, many more chapters of continued service to your clients and to your team.
And thank you for having me. Thank you for having me as part of the LoCo think tank.
Of course.
I learned a tremendous amount and looking forward to learning more.
Awesome.
and meeting more business owners, when we're talking about the isolation.
Yeah.
It's nice to be around other business owners that are going through the same wins, the same struggles. So I feel that I found my tribe
Awesome. That's
with-
really nice to hear.
with everyone in the group.
That's really cool. Well, Godspeed, Julian, and we'll look forward to your next return.
All right. Talk to you soon.
All right,
Bye.
cheers. Bye-bye.